Hello everyone! Today is finally the day. We are finally gonna get into this Coffee House Cookbook. And I can't wait because it's kind of strange. I found this at a thrift store for just $1. I really just grabbed it because I thought the little doodles inside was really cute. It looked good. And I'm kind of a sucker for odd little cookbooks like this. I got home and didn't realize that this particular cookbook is going for close to $100 and sometimes over $100 on eBay and Amazon, Abe Books, everywhere you can find used books. Now, I have no idea why? I mean, it's really cute. I love this little cookbook, but would I pay $100 for this? Probably not. I'm more of a bit of a frugal, thrifty kind of person. But I thought it'd be really fun to look through this and show you what I found on the internet regarding this cookbook. Now, I know some of you may remember me saying that I emailed someone from the university that works at the coffee shop, the manager, to see if they still had copies of this cookbook for sale, and I never heard back. Now, that could be because I got shoved in the spam folder. Maybe they're just really busy. I don't know. But if I ever do hear from them, I will certainly let you know. But I did find something else. But first, let's go ahead and dig into what we're actually making out of this cookbook today. Unfortunately, it will not be the chili rellenos casserole that a subscriber had requested, but I will be going to a larger city soon, and I will be looking for that one ingredient that I cannot find anywhere near my house. As soon as I get that ingredient, we are definitely going to go back to this cookbook and make that casserole. So let's go ahead, get ready. I'm going to show you the ingredients that we have out, and then we're just going to get into it while I tell you kind of the odd rabbit hole I fell into trying to find this cookbook on the internet. And we will do our look through of this really cute little cookbook in a minute, but first I want to show you what we're actually going to make today. This vegetable nut casserole with a bechamel sauce. This looked really interesting to me because we have nuts, we got cabbage, carrots, onion, we've also got cinnamon and cumin and cottage cheese and tomato sauce. The whole combination of this really grabbed me, especially since we're going to be putting a sauce over it. Now, this seems like a lot of ingredients, but I actually think it's going to throw together pretty easy. The only thing I'm going to be substituting is, of course, because I have to be lactose free, milk, which will not change the taste at all. We've got lactated cottage cheese. We know that won't. This measure for measure gluten-free flour has been perfect. For baking, I have not had a problem with it since. And this little Country Crock plant butter, we have found that as long as you're baking and cooking with it, it acts perfectly like butter. But, if you're using it just as is and not cooking with it, it might change the texture of your product just a little bit. Now, we do have one little problem. I could not find half and half lactose free. So I do have this, and I'm just going to make a half and half on my own. And I think that's all. I already made the brown rice earlier, so this is cooked and ready to go. And now we just have to throw it together. So I've already got my 1.5 cups of unsalted sunflower seeds. And now we're going to add in our 2 cups of raw walnuts. And I am going to hopefully chop this up pretty fine, and then we'll come back together. That did beautiful. So let's go ahead and get the rest of our ingredients ready. We need to chop up a few vegetables. Now, as for the shredded cabbage, I just went ahead and bought it pre-shredded because I didn't want a lot of leftovers with a whole head. But our carrots, I think I'm going to go in with this one and make it a little easier on myself. And that is perfect and so fast. I love this thing. So we've got our carrots all ready. We've already got our pre-shredded cabbage. Now we just need to dice the onion if I can find it. Found the onion, but I almost forgot the parsley. So let's go ahead and do that first. We just need a half a cup. But I'm going to go ahead and chop all of this, and I'm just going to use this for other things. I actually think it'd be really good to sprinkle over scrambled eggs for breakfast, so I think that's what I'm going to do with it. And while I'm doing this, let me tell you a few things that I found out about this weirdly expensive cookbook. So you can see here, this was part of the University of California, Davis. They had a little coffee shop that the students started back in 1968 because they wanted a healthy food alternative. So there's a lot of vegan and vegetarian recipes in this cookbook, and I think it reflects the values of those early students. Now, the one I have was put out in 1986. This is the original cookbook that they published. And I did manage to find some articles where they were talking about having re-released, reprinted this cookbook over the years. But when I looked for it, I could not find it in the UC Davis shop, the bookstore there. And I did find something on Reddit where someone was asking, do they still have this? And a student answered and said, I've been to the bookstore many times, but I have never personally seen the cookbook in there. Now we're gonna chop an onion. It says a half of an onion. But this little onion is so small, I think I'm just gonna do all of it. Now, I did also find on their website where they had mentioned doing a PDF download of this 1986 cookbook for only $5. But when I clicked on it, it led nowhere, so I don't think that's being offered anymore. I did, however, manage to find a different kind of PDF download. And this cookbook is actually for free. So I went ahead and downloaded it. We may, in the future, go ahead and cook from it and see, what it's like. And now we're going to crush our garlic. But this particular PDF download is actually part of a larger network, like their cafeteria and the coffee house. They did mention, however, that there's about 5 or 6 recipes in it that came directly from the 1986 cookbook. So, unfortunately, if you're really, really wanting this cookbook, your only 2 options, I guess, are get a really expensive copy off of eBay or Amazon, or get that download and find the 5 or 6 recipes in there and try them that way. I will go ahead and put a link to that download in the description box below so you can check that free cookbook out. And now that all of our prep work is done, we now just need to add it to this bowl. Now to this bowl is going to go all of our vegetables and our seeds, our nuts, and the rice, and then we'll go ahead and mix everything else up. And we've got our walnuts and our sunflower seed mixture. We can't forget our cabbage. And in goes our parsley. This is actually making it look really pretty. And all we have to do now is mix this really well. And now into this bowl is going to go all of our wet ingredients and our spices. So we have our tomato sauce. I've got the 3 eggs right here. We're going to add our cottage cheese. And then is going to go in all of our spices. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of salt. And then we've got our black pepper, our cumin, ground caraway. And the one I thought was most interesting, we've got cinnamon. We're going to give this a really good mix up. And then this mixture, it's added to our vegetable nut mixture. And hopefully I got a large enough bowl. I don't know. This is looking a little bit messy. Okay, I think we made it. This is going to go into a baking dish. And this is now going to go in my oven. Now, as you can see, I've got myself a huge mess. So I'm going to take this 30 minutes of baking time to clean all of this up. I've got all those dishes over there. And I'm also going to get my potatoes started. Now, I'm just serving this with some mashed potatoes. I'm not doing anything fancy. It's just going to be your standard mashed potato recipe. The only reason why I picked mashed potatoes is because I just need to use these potatoes up. They're getting a little bit sprouty. I don't want to waste them. So that's going to be my side. I also think that this would be good with a really good salad or maybe some steamed mixed vegetables. But I'm going to go ahead and get these potatoes started, get this all cleaned up, and then we'll come back together when I am going to make the sauce. All right, I got most of everything cleaned up at least. So let's go ahead and take a look through of this very special cookbook. You can see here, mine is an original 1986 from the University of California, Davis. We do get a little bit of a history of the coffee house and why it was started. And then we get into these wonderful recipes. Now, I did find this little note here. It says, autopsy permit. I have no idea. You know, you never know what you're going to find when you buy a book used. And apparently someone needed to order an autopsy. I don't know. Maybe that was something for a Dateline crime podcast to figure out. Who knows? But we're going to set that aside and we're going to keep looking through this. Now, one thing I absolutely love about this little cookbook is the hand-drawn, or what would have been hand-drawn and then mass-printed, of course, illustrations for each one of these little recipes. You have some really funny ones. You've got some really cool looking ones. And all the recipes seem so good. The breads look really good. Something we'll have to come back to. We've got some salads. We've got some really, really good sounding ones like this healthy carrot. We've got tofu salad. And like I said, I just absolutely love these little illustrations. You'll notice that the illustrations go along with whatever the name is. So you've got a tofu marinade, and of course you've got tofu jumping right into it. This is just so cute. And like I said, it was actually the illustrations that first drew me to this cookbook. And then when I started looking at the actual recipes, I was really excited to try it. There's a lot of these little illustrations that they really thought outside the box to make, which is really cool. I appreciate it. We've got lots of really good looking main dishes. Here is that chili relleno that I am going to find this can of chilies, even if I have to order it online, so we can actually do this one. Some of these recipes do remind me of, some of the things that I would have eaten while I was at that health food store that I worked at. But, those things tasted pretty good. And I kind of think it'd be fun to bring some of these older recipes back into the zeitgeist. So it's sad that, this is kind of a cookbook that might be a little hard to get. I really like the fact that they put a Van Gogh painting inside that baking dish. But maybe if you scour around, and if any of you happen to be alumni of University of California, Davis, let me know if you had ever got this cookbook, ever saw it there, ever bought it, used it. And if you live around there, maybe you can go to that bookstore and see if they've got some copies of it, because it would be something really fun to bring back. This is such a fun and cute cookbook. So glad I only got it for $1. And so I guess the lesson is it pays to go in your thrift stores, because you never know what little hidden treasures you're gonna find. And now I think it's time to make our sauce. I'm melting the butter right now, but we do need to mix up our other ingredients while that's going. So I've got the egg yolk. To this, we're going to add our half and half. We've got our milk. I've got some bay. And then to this, we're just going to add our salt and pepper. Now, this does call for white pepper. I don't actually have white pepper, so I'm just going to sneak in this little black pepper and we won't tell anybody. Go ahead and get this all mixed up. Okay, I think we're safe to add that in. So we're going to start by making our roux. Make this nice and thick. Okay, I had to put the phone down for a minute just to try to get all that flour incorporated in there. Hopefully I can do this with one hand. We're going to see how this goes. Just going to put a little bit at a time, I think, and try to incorporate this rather slowly. Woo, and that's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and add some more. I am going to go ahead and do this in stages, and then we will come back when I have got all of this incorporated. Ooh, and look at that beautiful thick sauce. We're almost done. It's pretty much done cooking in the oven, our little casserole. So I'm going to go ahead and get our potatoes done, and then we're going to be ready to try this thing. Okay, we are done. We're ready to eat. Let's check on this casserole. Woo! A lot of steam coming off of that. Oh, this looks really good. Ooh, and look at this. This looks nice and done. They said to keep going till the top was kind of crispy, so that's what we've landed on. Let's go ahead and plate all this up. I cannot wait to try it. And we're ready for the taste test. You can tell it got really hot in this kitchen because my hair is so frizzed out. And Mitch is not going to join us for this taste test. He has been busy redoing our laundry room pretty much all day. He's tired. I'm just gonna let him rest and, not have to do this one. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, it smells good, but the texture's got me a little bit worried. So let's go ahead, let's see what we're going to think about this. It's oddly satisfying to eat. It really does harken back to those very early days in the 70s and 80s when health food was really gaining traction in the country. It really reminds me of those early recipes. Now, I do think, and I thought this is a little strange, The sunflower seeds and the walnuts, that's actually the most overpowering taste. I don't actually get a lot of the spices that we put in there, like that cinnamon and cumin. So I think that's kind of like, that's a little surprising to me. Overall, it's good. The texture ended up being really good. The only thing I would say is just keep in mind that this is not a modern vegetarian recipe. So you really are, like I said, getting the old school health food. But the kind of overwhelming nut and seed taste may actually throw you off a little bit if that's not your jam. There you go. We had a really good kind of retro vegetarian recipe from the 1980s. Probably something that they'd been making at that coffee house for a couple decades. And I would recommend trying it. It is good, but if you really don't like the taste of sunflower seeds or walnuts or both, you're probably not going to like this, because that's pretty much the major taste that I get from this. And there you go, the look through of our Coffee House Cookbook. This isn't going to be the last time that we return to this, because I do want to make a couple more things out of it. If you are interested in this, remember to look at that link that I'm going to put in the description box. It will at least get you about 5 to 6 recipes, they said, that came directly from this cookbook. And just keep your eyes peeled at those thrift stores. Maybe you'll get lucky and find what I think might be the most expensive coffee house cookbook for just $1, like I did. Well, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed this video and this little retro throwback to the health food scene of the 70s and 80s. And we will catch you on the next episode. I hope you have a really great day. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.